Order.
Yes.
We are now on to 2016-403. That's what, 824,
That's correct. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Rick Brodsky on behalf of the applicant, block 1002 lot 75 LLC. This is for the property located at 824 Nuts Swamp Road in our R30 zone. Mr. Gordon, are we all good on our notice?
Yeah, they did notice. I
Okay.
had a note here. I lost track of the date. Hold on, I'll get it. They had notice for the meeting on it was April 17th. Okay, April 17th, they had notice for that meeting. It was carried from that night to now. So there, I reviewed their notice back then. I think I put on the record back on that night. It was in order, so their notice was fine.
Correct, thank you. Okay, Mr. Chair, members of the board, the application before you is going to be familiar to some of you. Some of the newer board members came after we were here. There's some history associated with the site. The property is an existing 7.67 acre parcel located on Nuts Swamp Road, sort of a deep, narrow parcel, which you'll see as we move through the testimony. The proposal before you is for take the single lot, form 6 lots for 6 residential homes, which are of course the permitted use in the zone. The only variances, there's a technical variance which we'll talk about, but the only variances are the lot circle, which is necessitated by virtue of the narrow configuration of the property. Other than that, it's fully conforming. In terms of just how we got here, back in 2016, in April of 2016, an application almost identical to this came before the board. It was approved to form 6 lots. The lot circle variances and a couple of other variances were approved. That approval was conditioned upon obtaining county approval, Monmouth County Planning Board approval, by virtue of the fact that Nuts Swamp is a county road. Applicant then went to the county. At that point, the access point into the property for the entry, for the access road and the cul-de-sac was the mirror version. It was actually on the easterly property line. Went to the county said they were not comfortable with it because they had said there was some conflicts with some other existing roads. The applicants went back to the drawing board, and one of the things the county said was there's actually a potential access off a paper street called Munch Road, and the county said, well, why don't you go in that way? Applicant went back to the drawing board, redesigned the whole project to go through Munch. County was happy, no one else was. We came back here in 2007, August of 2017, with that sort of county-mandated access design, and it was not a fun night. So the neighbors didn't like it, the board didn't like it, and the applicant then went back again to the drawing board. figured out a way to make it work with the mirror version, just flipping the access road from the bottom, from the east to the west. County was happy, no conflicts with any existing other road access roads onto Nut Swamp. And our engineers worked out all of the engineering issues to the satisfaction, we believe, of Mr. Keaty. And so now we're back before you with essentially the mirror image 3 years later, the mirror image of the application that was approved by this board back in 2016. So that's where we are. That's how we got here. And what I'd like to do, unless the board has any other questions, is we can get Mr. DeCina sworn in, who's our project engineer. He can walk the board through real quick, especially for the benefit of the new board members, the design. It's pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. But we can get that on the record, answer any questions the board may have, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, Mr.
Please raise your right hand. Please raise your right hand. Swear testimony about the board, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Your full name and business.
Brian DeCina, last name D-E-C-I-N-A. I'm Senior Vice President at French and Carrillo Associates out of Wall, New Jersey.
Okay, Brian, if you would, real quick, if you could just
First we have the call.
give the board the benefit of your background experience as well as a licensed engineer here in New Jersey.
Absolutely. I graduated from Illinois University with a degree in Bachelor of Science and Engineering degree. I'm a licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. I've testified in front of this board numerous times. Thank you.
Yeah, board accepts.
Great, thanks. All right, Brian, if you would, let's just walk the board through as quickly as we can, due to the hour, what exists at the site today, and then what's proposed as part of the application.
Should we mark it as an exhibit?
Yes, we need to mark.
Yeah, I think we have that even with the green on.
Yes.
This is actually sheet number 4 of my set with the green on, so the change is just mounted.
What about the flip?
We're going to mark the entire.
Looks like
We have that, we're not gonna mark that, but that doesn't,
This
is
is-
mark that with, all the
This-
green on there?
This is also sheet 14, just colorized. It's in the set. It's just got some nice colors on it.
So when you refer to that one, you mark it out.
Okay.
Because that's not even,
It's in the set, but not colors.
Correct. All right, so as Mr. Brodsky mentioned, this application has been before you guys, has received preliminary and final major subdivision approval. The property is known as Lot 75, located in Lot 1002, known as 824 West Point Road. The property is a long, narrow rectangle, it was a bowling alley. Previously, it was a landscape nursery farm. The property is located on Nut Swamp Road on the western side. 80 Ways to the north on Page, which is to the west, and to the south on Page is Michael Way and Lewis Street and Paper Street. Across Nut Swamp Road, as you can see, is on the right side of the page, so that is the retreating part of White Acre Boulevard. The property is currently developed. It has a couple greenhouses, a residential dwelling, a barn, a variety of concrete pads, asphalt, and gravel driveways. The property does have wetlands to the rear of the property. This Dove Street here, Paper Street here is Munch Road. Right where Munch Road is, there's a swoop of the wetlands, as you can see, with a 50-foot buffer. And that section from Munch Road back is currently wooded. The rest of the property is developed and has been abandoned. As Mr. Brodsky mentioned, the property received approval for 6 residential homes back in 2016, all conforming to lot area. There were some variances granted, some design waivers granted. The original approval was for the road to be located to the south on Page along the easterly property line, similar cul-de-sac form as you see here, but again to the south on Page, and all properties were accessed internally. There were some variances that were granted. One of them was for a lot frontage variance on the bridge application because the right-of-way was set off the side lot line by 5 feet. So the rear property, or the rear cul-de-sac residential lot, actually had a stem similar to what I'm showing here, that would have a small frontage on Nut Swamp Road. So there was a frontage variance that was granted in 2016, and there was a buildable area deficiency variance that was granted for that rear lot. The other 5 lots also received variances for a deficient lot-shaped circle, which is 99 feet. They were around about 50 feet was provided, and those are granted. Other design waivers that were granted for that application was the length of the cul-de-sac bulb. The township requires a maximum of 60 feet. That one was a little over 1,000 feet. Properties located in R30 zone. Residential properties exist to the north, south, east, and west, all within the R30 zone. The proposal, the proposal, as you can see here, is basically a mirror image. I was retained by the applicant recently to revise the plans to come up with a solution to satisfy the request from the county. As Mr. Brodsky mentioned, there was a concern from the county regarding the offset of the adjacent street, or the street across the across West Road. When the proposal was shown and approved in 2016, the offset between these two roads was very close. The county requires 250 feet offset between center lines. Due to the limited frontage, we were able to provide 215, 220 feet. The county is satisfied with that. Even though it would be 250, there is no available land to the west or to the north on the page. So that was the purpose of flipping the road, as you see here on sheet 4 of my set of plans. Again, the same configuration, cul-de-sac bowl coming into the property, and the same 6 residential lots as shown here. Similar to the previous approval, we offset that right-of-way line by 5 feet from that side lot line, and we created a 40-foot right-of-way for proposed road A. Typically, right-of-ways are 50 feet in town. This is a 6-lot subdivision. RSIS does allow 40 feet for right-of-ways for rural streets. Rural streets have to have a minimum or a maximum traffic flow of 500 trips per day. RSIS counts 10.1 trips per residential home, so 6 lots times 10.1 is less than 70 trips per day. So it does conform to that criteria. So we went with a reduced right-of-way, which would require a design waiver from the board, because again, Middletown Township's ordinance requires 50. We're going with 40 feet. And the reason we're going with 40 feet, again, not just for the trips per day, but again, it's only 6 lots. And by reducing that right-of-way, I was able to get a little bit additional lot depth on these 5 lots here, increasing that lot-shaped circle. Even though those 5 lots received variances under the 2016 approval, as I mentioned earlier, for about 50-foot diameter, where 99 is required. Here, I'm getting about 59 to 62 feet. So I'm getting that 10 feet back and making the variance less restrictive. With that reduced right-of-way, we're proposing a 20-foot paved roadway. With the 20-foot paved roadway, it's smaller than a typical roadway, but again, that lines up the RSIS requirements for a rural street. Reducing it the 8 feet to get down to 20 feet limits the amount of impervious coverage, which results in less runoff. So again, that is in line with the RSIS standards for a rural street, and that is my proposal. By doing that, I was able to get the lot areas I needed to conform to the R30 zone. So the minimum lot areas are 30,000 square feet for internal lots. Corner lots require 34,000 square feet, which we do provide. We are providing right-of-way communication as well. So we offset the line. We lined it up with the adjacent property for the 45-foot half-width right-of-way. And we have 34,000 square foot for the corner lot, 30,000 square feet minimums for the 4 internal lots, and the last lot is an oversized lot at about 114,000 square feet. Again, same number of lots proposed as the original approval. We're proposing a sidewalk within, on the southern side of the page, or the eastern side, a sidewalk that wraps around the cul-de-sac and heads out to Nut Swamp Road and traverses to the east. The variance required, again, I mentioned earlier, would be still the same 5 lot-shaped circle variances, and we would need 1 lot frontage variance, similar to the original approval for lot 7506 for that small frontage that does connect to Nut Swamp Road. However, the if we consider the lot frontage just along the cul-de-sac, it does conform. This lot will not need buildable lot area variance as it did before, because I was able to get this cul-de-sac to slide closer and shorten up to Nut Swamp Road. The cul-de-sac is about 1,000 feet, a little bit shorter than the previous approved cul-de-sac. I would still need a design waiver, again, exceeding the 600 linear feet max that's allowed by ordinance. I'm going to flip the plan to my landscape sheet, which is sheet 14 of my set, dated February 13, 2019.
Can we go back from it?
Absolutely.
I see the sidewalk now. Is there going to be a curb?
Yes, I apologize. There is a curb. Both sides curb. It's going to be a mountable block, so it's a 45 or 33 angle curb. And the reason we're doing that is because the pavement width is reduced. There's no parking lot on the street, but we did that for emergency use. I have done a turntable plan for a fire truck, and the fire truck can maneuver, traverse through the cul-de-sac, one maneuver, and come out.
Well, you're saying there's no parking lot on the street, so if somebody has a party, what are their options?
Well, the driveway is about 75 feet long, so you can fit 4 or 5 cars. You have a 2-car garage, so you can fit probably 4 or 5 cars in the driveway and 2 in the garage.
I don't know what kind of parties you have, but my parties are a lot bigger than that.
Understand?
But it goes back to what you brought up. My concern is an emergency vehicle. If they park in the street, they park in the street. I know things happen. I'm being realistic about it, but that's my concern. Is let's say you have cars parked up near Nut Swamp, and you got to get an emergency vehicle to the end of the cul-de-sac. Would you still feel comfortable if there was a car parked in the street getting past?
I guess it would depend on where this car is parked. If it's parked at this radius, probably not. If it was parked up here, fire truck would definitely traverse, come around, and pull it out.
Would be able to get past the car that's
Absolutely.
on the side?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what was that 5-foot strip?
So the rear lot 7506, is basically fronting on the cul-de-sac. But in order to not put the existing residents on any way in variance condition by having dual frontages, we offset the right-of-way 5 feet. So this grass strip runs between the right-of-way and the property line. It's about 5 feet at the tightest area. It's about 8 or 9 feet in the middle. It's not a perfectly straight line. The grass strip does traverse, so there is a frontage for lot 7506 at Nut Swamp. That was similar, I believe, to the 2016 application.
Yeah, on the other side, and then there would be an easement given to the homeowners association. Right?
So if I could go to the landscape, that will talk about some easements.
Now this we may need tomorrow, right? Because this is the same one.
So is there a homeowner association for anything other than that 5-foot strip?
Yes, sir. So Exhibit A1 is sheet 14 of my set. It is entitled Landscaping Plan. The only difference between this plan and what is in the set is the color. What you see here in the brown are the 6 proposed conceptual dwellings. The gray is the proposed road and driveways. The lighter green is grass areas, and your darker circles and octagons are proposed landscaping. As you can see here, we are proposing street trees spaced out every 30 feet where possible, avoiding driveways and the proposed streetlights that line the road. That grass strip that we talked about, the 5-foot grass strip to the north on Page or on the westerly property line between the right-of-way and the adjacent side lot line. We're proposing evergreens that run basically from Nut Swamp Road down to the cul-de-sac. So a heavy evergreen buffer, 10-foot on center spacing with a 6-foot high board-on-board wooden fence that runs along that property line. The lighting will be handled by JCP&L. There are 9 fixtures that are located throughout the property. They are 12-foot high poles. They're your standard country type lantern fixture that you would see in most of the subdivisions that JCP&L provides. The one difference is these are dark sky compliant. They are LED fixtures. Your ordinance talks about the max height of the light source being 13 feet, which was the old light bulbs that were used. They were metal halide or high pressure sodium bulbs. They were installed at the bottom of that fixture. LEDs now installed at the hood, shining down. So from the top of the pole, the collar, and to the high pressure sodium bulb was about 12 inches plus the 12 foot. These are 13 feet, it would apply. Same fixture, same height of the entire fixture, but the light source is now underneath that fixture, so it's another 9-inch higher. It's GCPL standard, we can't lower the pole. Again, it's the same exact fixture and the same exact pole. I would need a design waiver for that extra 9 inches, but again, it's dark sky compliant with LED lights. I'm not sure if the LED lights and the dark sky compliant fixtures have a lot less spillage, a lot less glare. There's nothing shining up into the skies or into your neighbor's property. I provided an updated plan to the board engineer, Mr. Key, illustrating the light levels along the property line, and they were at 0.00 for our fixtures. All fixtures will have house side shields as well to also limit any kind of light spillage. But again, those lights do provide very limited spillage. Landscaping along Nut Swamp, there are some very mature spruce trees that we are preserving. One to the north on page and a cluster to the south. These are all being preserved as shown on the plan. Some of them are located within the site triangle, so there will be some pruning that will be required for some of the branches, but the trees we're proposing to remain. We're also proposing a required 50-foot landscape buffer on any collector street, which Nut Swamp is. So there's a 50-foot buffer here. And Mr. Key brought up in his review letter the need for a design waiver, and we had a conversation about it. The way the ordinance reads is that, I'll read it to you from the review letter. The buffer shall be designed in accordance with section 540-606B, which requires a buffer area 50 foot wide, exclusive of private yard areas. Now, what is exclusive of private yard areas? So either we make it a 50 foot wide standalone lot, which would be a non-conforming lot in the zone, or it has to be part of the lot. So I made it part of the lot. I took my 50-foot buffer and then applied my setback off of that. So taking that buffer out of it, this lot is still compliant in terms of buildable lot area, which is the requirement from the zone, 24,000 square feet, still compliant. And my setback is not located within there. So if I need a design waiver, I'll have to ask for it. I believe it was asked for it in the past, but other than that, it would be carved out as a separate lot. Additional landscaping, you can see to the easterly property line along the side lot lines, buffering up to those along Lois Street. The sanitary sewer system will be public sewer through Tomza. It's about 8-inch main will run down Road A, come through an easement, proposed easement, down Munch Road, and go back to the original plan here, sheet 4, and connect to the existing sanitary sewer main located at the intersection of Buchanan Road and Munch Road, which was the original sanitary sewer design that was proposed under the 2016 application. There will be a requirement to get a general permit from DEP for some wetlands disturbance that will be applied for post approval from the Township Middletown Planning Board. The last item is stormwater. As I mentioned earlier, with the reduced pavement width, we were able to reduce the amount of proposed impervious coverage. So this application here actually has less impervious coverage than the current condition or the current landscape farm. Therefore, water quality, groundwater recharge is not required. However, water detention is. And the way we're handling that is through a series of curb inlets, which are the curb inlets you can see in your own neighborhood, connecting underground via underground pipes, all heading towards the cul-de-sac, and the last curb inlet box underground will act as the outlet shore structure. In that structure, we'll have a weir, which will choke off that water and let it back up into the system. Solid pipes, but we made these pipes larger, so they'll be holding that water, and our orifice will let that water trickle out at a slower rate into the wetlands as was the original approval. So all the drainage will be located within the right-of-way and will be maintained by the homeowners association.
Can I ask one question here? You talked about the right, so I want to go back. In a prior iteration of this, the road was a private road. Is it a private road here?
Yeah, so that would be within the purview of the homeowners. Homeowners association would take care of roadway, drainage, and the buffer, that 5-foot buffer.
And the 50-foot buffer. So the two landscape buffers, the vegetation there will be maintained by the homeowners association. So which is what you asked me earlier about the 5-foot landscape. So this is part of 7506, what was requested by your board engineer and planner, is to put from the radius of the cul-de-sac all the way out to Nutswamp Road, put that 5-foot strip into a landscape easement.
Okay, so this will be a private road maintained by the homeowners, inclusive of that 5-foot strip, inclusive of the underground stormwater management system, and inclusive of the landscaped areas, all by the HOA.
I have a question. On your original plan 2 years ago, you impressed me with the underground water system that you had between the houses. You had like two fields, underground fields. What made you do this instead?
Well, I have to admit, I wasn't the original engineer on that application. I was just retained about 4 or 5 months ago. So the previous design was done by another consultant.
Yeah, you had two underground pits. Do you remember, Mr. Reed?
I remember. We never got to a point where we agreed with that design because it didn't prove that it would actually function. So we never got to that resolution. So it was a different design, but we never agreed from an engineering perspective that it would function.
Where would the clean-out areas be on this one, since you told me the pipes are going to go in the right of way?
So cleanouts would be the same type of cleanouts that, there is no cleanouts. The cleanouts would be the actual inlets that you see in the street.
Okay.
The DPW, which they wouldn't take it over, but your HOA would hire a jet vac system. They would take the grate off your curb inlet, jet vac it, vacuum it out.
Any other questions for Mr. DeCine?
I have a quick question. So, private road,
Yes.
homeowners, would they take care of plowing and garbage pickup privately?
Not garbage,
Okay.
not garbage, but the home association would take care of
Snow?
snow plowing. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
Yes. I did want to also, you had an opportunity, Brian, to go through Mr. Key's report. Are there any issues that you had with any of the suggestions or anything else raised by Mr. Key or Rob? Is there anything that you needed addressed? We didn't have a problem with anything that was raised.
We reviewed them, and I spoke to Mr. Keating on a couple of occasions, and whatever questions I had, we discussed. One of them being the light fixture, as mentioned earlier. I sent an updated plan. Besides that, everything else I believe is technical, and I can certainly work out with your board engineer those issues.
So that's Mr. Key's letter of April 9th.
That is Key's letter of April 9, and then we also have planner's letter.
Before we move to the planner's
Oh,
letter,
sorry.
I just want to make sure there's no problems with Mr. Key's letter, meaning you're going to comply or you agree to everything.
Correct. That was my understanding based on prior discussion and tonight's testimony.
Okay. That's what I like to hear.
Yes, will comply. Now, with regard to the May 3rd, last revised report of Ms. Siobhan dated May 3rd, 2019. Sam, anything that we did not hit?
Yes, I just, real quick, just say yes.
Say yes.
I mean, if you agree, if you don't, then that's fine. I didn't have any concerns regarding the variances because they were previously granted, that's what I wrote in the review. But moving on to what's new is you're proposing a retaining wall with a safety net. We just wanted details to be safety fence.
Right.
Because we wanted to see if it's in compliance with 54616 or else the variance would be required because it has to not exceed 6 feet in height.
Absolutely, we'll make sure.
Where is that in the report?
That is page 4 of 9 under 3E.
If it was a two-tiered wall at 3 feet each, does that count as 6 foot high wall?
No, it doesn't. But then but then you have to follow the proportion and then the fence, but the total height shouldn't exceed 6 feet.
Okay, we'll make that work.
Okay.
So let me clear, you're gonna make it 2, 3 foot?
No, I mean, I don't think I need to. Right now I have it as a 5.5 foot high wall, so I mean, I'll make it.
But then you have a fence about it too.
Well, it's a safety fence because it exceeds,
It's what?
it's a safety fence
Okay.
because it exceeds 2.5 feet exposed, so you're preventing any kid from falling off that. That's what it's for.
So it's a 5.5 foot high retaining wall with a
Safety fence.
safety fence.
But again, this grading I'm showing here, the driveway location, the footprint is still conceptual. So I will be preparing individual grading plans that will be submitted to the township for review and approval. So this driveway may be flipped towards the garage left. Maybe on garage right again, I don't know.
But the total height shouldn't exceed 6 feet. Go ahead.
I think just to cover it, it's just, you would agree with the ordinance requirement relative to retaining walls and fencing, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if there's any modifications that need to be made, the applicant agrees to.
And then there's a comment 5A regarding this testimony that was given. I'm just curious if the status about that.
Can I go back to
Oh,
3A2 on page 3? Just want to clarify, I think your comment might have carried over from the original application, 3A2,
okay.
about buffer averaging. We're not proposing any buffer averaging on this application. That was the prior application.
Correct, no, I agree.
Okay.
That was carried over. However, there is still, you still would require a variance for that non-compliance with the transition waiver for the transition area.
Why's that?
You have to maintain a distance of, let's see, 50 feet from the transition area, whereas that part is, the buffer averaging, that sentence got carried from the prior one.
Right.
I didn't notice until now. But the other portion, you still need a waiver for the setback and, still.
So the town requires the rear setback to be taken off the transition area buffer, not the rear lot line?
You need to provide at least 50 feet off as per 54624, yeah?
So then I would request that waiver if I can.
Right.
I mean, that variance, I would request that variance if I can.
I'm asking.
Yeah,
I think it's a waiver. It's like
I would say it's a variance.
624.
If it's a setback variance, it's a setback variance. If you're taking 50 foot off here as my rear lot line, as opposed to my rear lot line being back here, then I would think it's a variance.
I'm not sure.
It's under the design standard, so it becomes a waiver.
Yeah, I mean,
It is
it was
a
called
waiver.
out as a
No,
waiver.
no,
Okay.
it's not a variance.
Lost that waiver.
It's a waiver.
Thank you. Please have a waiver. Okay.
Sam, I have a question. If someone wanted to add parking to their lot, is it possible they could put another cut and do like a semicircular driveway here? Would that still be a legal thing to do, and would they need a semicircle? Yeah, coming 2 entrances.
Yeah, horseshoe.
A horseshoe. That could alleviate the parking problem if somebody does want to have more parking. Don't make,
I mean,
Well, there's nothing, design-wise, it's not a bad idea, but I'm just saying in case someone really wanted to have more
Yeah.
parking.
But then you just have to look at lot coverage.
Right,
Yeah,
as long as there's no
yeah.
coverage issue, no coverage issue, it works.
we call it, I don't believe we do.
I don't know if I'm.
Yeah, but I mean, they will have to, here's how I like to place it. If they want to provide a semicircular horseshoe driveway, if you will, as long as our ordinance permits it, and as long as the lot coverage is within compliance.
It has to be, I think the ordinance does, but the lot coverage is,
I mean,
but
that's,
where she's put in.
but that's again, you
These
know,
lots are,
to design
yeah,
the.
Go on.
these lots are pretty good size.
I know they are.
And so I don't think lot coverage would be.
No, I don't think so either, but you may have a customer or a person who may simply want that extra
The
parking.
majority of the circular driveway, usually on corner lots, trying to get access from both streets. But anyway, they can.
If there's one thing though, that it's a private road, there's no parking, we need Title 39
Right.
petition so we can enforce Title 39. So otherwise, private roads, the police can't enforce motor vehicle issues.
That's one.
Right, you know,
Yeah. Any other questions?
Is there a fire hydrant?
There will be every 400 feet. That was a comment there.
Yeah, that was a comment from the fire.
Absolutely,
I told him you were going to ask this question.
absolutely.
What is the size of the proposed residences?
Right now, they're conceptual. I'm showing them conceptually here. Footprint is 1,750 square feet. 50 by 35.
Probably, and maybe two stories.
Yeah, it's a footprint, so two-story.
Anything else from Mr. Decina?
No? Anyone from the public? Questions for this witness and his testimony? Come on up.
I'm sorry, were we going to go, did you have any other
There are
additional
a few other,
points?
yes, there are a few, I mean, not the main ones, just, you will be complying with everything that I've written, right? You don't take an exception to anything.
I went through all my, I can take care of everything.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
please raise your right hand. Your name and address, please.
Dan Cafaro, 820 Middletown Road.
This is for question, but we'll slip into testimony.
I'm just gonna, I'll be brief.
Let's try it. Swear testimony about to be the board, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I live on 820. We discussed the last time, me having a buffer. Okay, because this property runs the whole,
Remind us where you are.
where are we here? I'm right here.
No.
Yeah, this is me here. This is my whole property right here. So I'm greatly affected by this, and my life of peace and quiet is no longer, but I don't care. Do I get a buffer here? You mentioned a 6-foot fence. Do I get evergreens? You know what I mean? I don't want people looking right over me, you know what I'm saying? I need something, and we discussed this on the last meeting. That's my house, 820. Yeah, right here, and so, okay, but my property runs along all here, so this is it right here, so I will have a buffer. Will there be a fence there?
There's no fence proposed on the side.
There's no fence.
On this side.
So between my property and your new establishment, there's no fence?
Do you have a fence?
The old owner, or the old property owner had a fence, a dilapidated fence.
Right. Oh, so you don't have a fence on your property?
It's his fence, I mean, it's about 60 years old, the old owner has a fence.
I thought it was your property.
I repaired that fence for the last 20 years,
Right.
but,
So you have a fence?
it's dilapidated, it's all broken and everything, I could walk right through the property. I'm just saying, what is gonna be there now?
You've got that landscaping.
Just a berm with evergreens?
You've got, it's like 100.
What are these evergreens?
30 trees.
Are these deciduous trees? Are these evergreens? Do I get full year coverage?
Well, that Brian did.
Has anyone ever seen this site? I see it every day.
It's mostly deciduous. I think there's 3 existing.
We mentioned evergreens the last time. That's a big difference. You know, I don't want to look right through to this.
Wasn't the road down there last time?
Yeah.
I'm not being, I'm not asking for, I just want to know,
What are you asking for? We've
Well,
got 140 trees and
So-
150 plantings. What more would you ask?
are they evergreens or are they deciduous trees?
Some are evergreens.
And is it full coverage? Because if there's no fence line, then I could see right through it, right? I could walk right through your property if there's no fence line and there's no trees like this break right here.
But I mean, you've got your fence.
No, there's no fence up in Nut Swamp Road.
Do you not want a fence?
From Nut Swamp Road down about, let's say, 200 feet, there's no fence. There's never been a fence there. So I'm just saying if you could just maybe look at it, reevaluate it, and just,
Would you really want a fence, or would you?
I just want some
Would
coverage.
a natural
Just coverage.
buffer would be
That would be
better?
fine.
Coverage is not defined.
I think he means buffer. I think he means buffer, right? You want buffer, right?
Something that separates my property from this property.
On the original plan, you had the road right next to you, I remember on the original.
Yeah.
Maybe you can just put a few more evergreen
Yeah.
trees in. They're gonna grow very fast. I don't think you need a fence. The fence was very old. I walked the property with the environmental group, and that fence was there for, 50 years.
Yeah.
But, I think if maybe throws in a couple more evergreen trees there, it'll be fine.
That's it. Thank you.
I thank you, I appreciate it. So you're gonna add landscaping
Yeah.
in the buffer area that you provide, you're gonna add more evergreens?
Between lot 7502 and 7503, gap in here, and I'll put 2 more between 7505 and 7504.
I had asked in my
That's
review
right.
letter,
We had to comply, we had to add a few more
Right,
trees
and
anyway to Sam's satisfaction.
so and you said you would be in compliance, so you could put those trees over there.
That's right.
Okay.
So we'll get them put in, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? Looks like you're done.
Well, I have, Mr. Kim. I tried.
Huh?
I tried. I'm a little late.
No, you're doing good. You're doing good. All right, if no other questions from the public? Is there any comments on the application for the public? Seeing none, I want to move, we close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion regarding block 1002, lot 75.
You got a second.
You got a second?
Closing the public portion. Let's not all be embarrassed about seconding the motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. So moved.
I just want to clarify one thing. This application has been around for a while, you mentioned in your opening remarks. So there was a public hearing way back in 2017 on this application. We're not counting on that. That's not part of this record. Right? This application started tonight on this version of this plan.
Right.
So there had been an amended one that had the through street to Munch. That is no longer part of the, that's not part of the record that the board's voting on tonight. The record the board is voting on tonight is just the most recent plans and the testimony from this evening.
That's correct.
So that means that everyone here is now eligible to vote on it. And we're, I look back at my notes, but there was a hearing in 2017 that we're not counting. It's not part of the record before the board tonight.
That's correct.
So at that point then, public hearing is closed.
I'll make a motion for block 1002, lot 75, LLC, 824 Nut Swamp Road, that we do pass on this, and we accept, including the variance for the buffer and the variance for the back, 50-foot variance in the back.
The variances would be deficient lot frontage,
And-
deficient circle diameter, and a waiver from the 50-foot requirement for section 54624A.
And addition of the landscaping for this, the southern
And
one.
provision of additional landscaping.
Any other waiver for length cul-de-sac?
and waiver for the length of cul-de-sac, and a waiver from a design waiver for the 40-foot right-of-way waiver.
And they're on the wall, right?
That's the retaining.
No, they didn't find it.
Wall we're going to comply, right, with the fine.
Yes.
Okay, with all those added variances and agreements, I make a motion that we pass on with this for approval.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mr. Days?
Yes.
Mr. Ashton?
Yes.
Mr. Bray?
Yes.
Committee Woman Snow?
Yes.
Mr. Zeplicki?
Yes.
Mr. Burson?
I'll abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Thank you, sir. Really quick, right? All right. As they break that down, that comes us to 2018 4 Frank. 787.